Hello, I'm Pip Courtney and welcome to A Taste of Landline. A real treat as you meet a fantastic couple who are shearers cooks.
It astounds me even still sometimes, because you'll get people that just you can't fill up.
The Outback Oasis and the bounty of Queensland's scenic rim. In the picturesque scenic rim, an hour south of Brisbane, the area's farmers join forces once a year to hold Eat Local Week. The event is a significant financial boost to the region, as well as a source of pride, and could be the way of the future for other farming communities.
Anyway, so today...
Brenda Forden calls herself a recovering restaurateur.
That should make a nice shot with some blue cheese.
After 33 years, she hung up her apron and moved to Tamborine Mountain, an hour south of Brisbane.
It's just fresh as.
Beautiful.
The producers in this area, honestly, Pip, I had no idea. I had no idea that what was going on out here.
Brenda wanted to share her discovery, so she and photographer Christine Sharp approached the Scenic Rim Council with a proposal. A coffee table book championing the region's farmers.
I wanted to highlight the producers because I think that they're amazing, and I think people don't know about them, particularly in our region. It's lovely to see them light up and be the star of the show.
A lot of them were very surprised that we wouldn't tell their stories. But once we got into it, they were really proud because the people that we interviewed, it's their life work. They were passionate. It's their vocation, not just their work.
Tony Gibb and his brother Mick are one of the 25 farming families profiled in the book.
I was very proud. We're probably a bit sort of more shy people that don't like to be in the limelight, but yeah, it was very humbling.
When Tony read it, even he was surprised at what his fellow farmers grow in the many valleys scattered throughout the region.
I couldn't believe how many different things are grown in this area. We've been here for 23 years and I didn't realise that some of those things are grown here.
Farm businesses range from niche and boutique to multi-million-dollar operations like the Gibbs. They grow celery, lettuce, red and green cabbage, wombok and red and green kale, employing 65 staff as well as dozens of backpackers. Tony Gibbs says farmers are realising what food tourism events can do for the local economy.
Our 6-year tawny port. And
the idea is just a masterstroke, and if you can hop in your car and go for a day visit, have a nice lunch in one of the restaurants or wineries and be home in time for dinner, I think it's a big benefit that we can cash in on here.
Books need a book launch, so the farmers featured were invited to a Brisbane riverside restaurant to celebrate.
Together, agriculture and tourism.
Scenic Rim Mayor Greg Christensen says by backing an expensive book, the council is making a long-term investment in the region's economy.
It epitomises the heart of what we're going to build our future around a scenic rim. Great agriculture has always been at our heart. Great tourism sits right next to that, and this connects those two together in a really exciting way because more and more people who live in high-rise apartments lose connection to where food comes from. They want to come and experience it.
The Scenic Rim is surrounded by World Heritage listed national parks, so most visitors already know it for its natural beauty. Greg Christensen wants food and farming added to the list of attractions. He says the 23,000 people who attended Eat Local Week's 84 events will spread the word. which he says is critical given the region has unemployment rates above the national average.
This is the future for economies like ours, where we've got this wonderful patchwork of farming areas in this great environment, that we're going to have an economy that is an integrated economy that respects and values and nurtures and celebrates our agricultural heritage and builds around it this wonderful experience of ecotourism and agri-tourism for people to come and connect again with what's really important in the essentials of life.
One of Eat Local Week's signature events is the open day at Calfresh's Carrot Farm. The packing shed and paddock gates are thrown open so people can see and taste all about the carrot business. Picking your own and getting dirty never gets old for littlies. So much so, some families are back for their fourth visit.
My personal goal is to sort of make farmers into rock stars or B-list celebrities or something, I don't know.
This little guy's only 24 hours old. If you pick up a baby merino lamb, its natural instinct is to get away from you. But if you pick up an Awassi lamb, it cuddles in. And that's because they're so used to being with, with all the nomads and things that they're part of the family.
Sheep's cheesemaker Carolyn Davidson has her own chapter in the Eat Local book. She's a farmer running a flock of 350 milkers and the cheesemaker, producing hard and soft cheeses and yoghurt. She says it's no chore to open her sheep dairy and cheesery to visitors.
I love having people visit because I like talking about the sheep, because I love sheep. I like sharing that knowledge with people who come to the farm. I like making cheese, so cheese and sheep together I think is the perfect combination.
The week finishes off with a winter harvest festival in Aratula. Farmers bring their wares and no one goes home with an empty tummy.
It was amazing. There was hundreds of people around and I think we would have easily doubled what we did last year. Yeah, really good.
Did you run out?
Yeah, about an hour ago we run out.
Many are dreaming the event could even grow big enough to draw international visitors.
I hope that when people think about food tourism in Australia, they'll say King Island, Scenic Rim, Margaret River, all in the same sentence. Absolutely think we've got the goods. There's no reason that we can't be an international food destination.
My dad and his brothers and my uncles have done it for years, and it seems like really fun.
She wants to ride her camel Sugar or Bella, and she wants that camel to come first no matter what.
Hello, I'm Tim Lee. Shearers may be the backbone of the wool industry, but away from the woolshed, the shearer's cook is just as vital. And keeping up to the appetites of shearers can be a formidable task. For sheer hard work, few jobs come close to shearing. And there are few trades where you work up such an appetite.
It astounds me even still sometimes, because you'll get people that just, you can't fill up.
The boys, of course, they're burning it up quicker than anything. I think a day shearing something like playing 3 AFL matches in a day. So, yeah, they burn through the calories pretty quick.
It's not like other jobs, no. You just got to have that fuel in you, yeah.
At shearing, the busiest time on a wool-growing property, the shearing shed becomes a small factory, and the cooks in the nearby kitchen power this human sweat and toil.
They really are the engine room of the shearing team that come onto the station, in our case twice a year, to shear our ewes, and a really important part of our project here.
For 46 years, Cheryl Duggan has been making meals for shearing teams. With husband Dick, the couple has travelled the sheep regions of Eastern Australia.
Loved it, hated it sometimes when you're getting bogged on the Ivanhoe Road or, yeah, but a lot of, I think, yeah, I love the travel, I think, pretty much.
When we're not shearing, I don't know what to do with myself.
Dick began shearing in his early teens.
Well, I started at 14 at a shed called Steam Plains, yeah, and I told them I was 18, of course, but anyway, you didn't have to show birth certificates them days.
Dick Duggan forged a reputation that earned him the nickname The King. Now 81, the King now plays consort to his Queen.
Dick gets up and cooks breakfast. I get up about 7 and my day starts then, and we just progress through the day. He cooks the meat or whatever we need. Whatever needs doing, we do.
Pudgenook Station is a famous merino stud near Jerilderie in the New South Wales Riverina region, and spring shearing is in full swing. There are 8 shearers and as many shed hands, roustabouts, wool rollers, wool classers, the shearing contractor and the presser. At least 16, often more, hungry workers to feed. Dick Duggan's working day begins in the kitchen soon after 5. There's always a hot breakfast on hand. Scrambled eggs, bacon, toast, even fried mushrooms.
It's a waiting game and I've got to work by time at the clock, you know.
By 6:30, most of the team is tucking into a hearty breakfast.
This team we've got now, they're pretty good on the tooth. They'll eat quite well.
In the wool shed, the catching pens are full, and with a full stomach, finely sharpened shears and a minute or two of contemplation, the shearers get ready for the rigours of an 8-hour day.
Right out.
On the stroke of 7:30, they spring into action. For the next 2 hours, the only time they'll lift their heads is to catch another sheep. All the while in the cookhouse, Cheryl Duggan makes morning tea, known as smoko, a half-hour break. And Dick acts as delivery boy.
Morning smoko is mostly hot food. Party pies, sausage rolls, cocktail frankfurts maybe, or dim sims or whatever. Toasted sandwiches.
Today, there's pizza as well, and the team makes short work of it.
Very spoiled, really. Lots of variety, which is very important. And, yeah, all beautiful tasting food. Yeah, it's lovely.
Well, for a start, if you've got happy men, it makes a hell of a difference. You can get away with a bit, like if the sheep are a bit tough or things aren't quite right. If you've got a good cook and keeps the team happy, it makes a hell of a difference.
I think having a good shearer's cook, it's the core of a good team. Keeping everybody happy. If you've got a good cook, everybody's happy.
Thank you. Good. Thank you very much.
When they first met, Dick and Cheryl already had 5 children between them. Soon after they married and had 4 more. Dick worked alongside Cheryl, both as a shearer and shearing contractor.
The kids looked after themselves, I guess. I've got photos of the kids looking like they've just come out of a bog somewhere. Don't get a bath until 8 o'clock at night or whatever, but yeah, the kids loved the outdoor life.
The work was often remote the conditions rudimentary.
No power, a lot of the sheds in those days when they were little.
Like even when I first started, it was kerosene fridges with the difference in refrigeration. You know, you can take things out where once you just couldn't have tomatoes or lettuce, especially in the hotter weather. It either come in a tin or you just didn't have it.
These days, there's less meat on the menu.
I don't remember making so much salad years ago. It was more soup and meat and veg then. But now, I mean, in the hot weather, they like a lot of salad, and even in the winter I've had people ask for salad, so...
Everybody's become a bit more wary of what they're eating. There's always fruit. Everybody goes berserk for fruit and salads and wraps, and it's really quite amazing, yeah.
How much and what shearing teams eat depends on the weather. This can be frightfully hot work.
We get icy poles in summer, and we just hang for icy poles in the afternoon, yeah, and watermelon, and they keep it cold, and it's just beautiful because, as you can imagine, like on a 40-degree day outside and it's 40 degrees inside the shed, like you just, anything that's cool is delicious and beautiful, yeah.
But it seems everyone who's ever worked in a shearing team has a horror story about a cook.
They've tried to starve us, and some just had no idea.
But Vic McKelman's tale takes some topping.
Had one fella, he pulled a heart attack on us once, and I think it was the greatest thing that ever happened. It was funny because the boys said to me, it must have been about a Wednesday, how long are we going to put up with this? And I said, well, we're going to have to get out to... It was the middle of spring. I thought, where am I going to get a cook? We got through till Thursday night, and this fella, he's got the tea on and everything's cooking away, and all of a sudden he thinks he's having a heart attack. Well, we rang the ambulance, and it was funny because once he got taken away, everyone was just happy. They just exploded, and we had a big party. We finished all the cooking. We got through and actually got one of the best cooks we've ever had after that. But, yeah, it was an interesting time.
When you get to my age, what do you do, you know? Sort of, you got to be doing something, don't you? When you've worked all your life, you just don't stop.
You get used to travelling around, and once you're home after a little while, Dick and I start getting a bit cranky. We don't talk much at all, but then we don't talk at all. So, you know, it's good to get away and talk to other people about different things.
How long do you reckon you'll stick at this game?
Till he dies. He won't let me retire. I don't know. I think we've got another year or two in us yet, maybe. I don't know.
Without Windmills, Benong, and probably a lot of country areas wouldn't have been around. Whoever had the idea was a bloody good idea.
Kind of like a well-oiled Swiss watch, eh?
We know every nut and bolt in every mill.
I got more time for romance at home now because I'm not out fixing windmills.
I reckon we've done a pretty good job. Cheers to the Windmills, guys. Thank you, everybody. Cheers.
All good.
Hello, I'm Courtney Wilson. Across much of Queensland, years of drought has meant many outback gardens have fallen by the wayside. This story is about the remarkable efforts of one couple to keep their oasis among the barren lands alive. As far as gardens go, Lindy and David Hardy's is impressive by anyone's standards. But it's where the Hardys' not-so-little patch is that seriously increases the wow factor.
We're on Dumfries Station, southeast of Blackall, about 70 k's out of town. It's 32,700 acres freehold.
This outback oasis stands in stark contrast to the surrounding countryside. 20 years ago, when the Hardys first bought Dumfries in central Western Queensland, there was no garden to speak of. Then, along came Lindy.
I was lucky David gave me a little John Deere tractor, and it had an accessory of a deep ripper. So I used that to rip up the garden, which was absolute bliss. I wouldn't like to say how many hours, and I would work in the garden all day, from dawn to dusk.
And as the saying goes, from little things, big things grow. Over the past 2 decades, the Hardys' backyard has evolved into something special. From the old tennis court turned secret garden to a croquet lawn complete with a bridal walk, where Lindy and David have hosted family weddings and countless other special occasions. It's won awards, and from bus tours to film crews, the garden at Dumfries has attracted plenty of interest over the years. For the most part, while Lindy's been in charge of the bigger picture, David has taken care of the more practical jobs.
Lindy has the mind to do all those bigger creative things. I don't have a creative bone in my body. I just love the blower. I love putting out a little bit of Roundup.
But over the past 4 years, stray leaves and a few pesky weeds have been the least of the Hardys' problems. Drought has taken its toll and made it almost impossible to keep the garden surviving, let alone thriving.
Droughts are slow. You don't know you're going into a drought until, 2 years down the track or 3 years, and you start realising that things are getting worse and worse.
When the house dam ran dry last year, Lindy turned to bore water to keep her garden going. But with their cattle competing for the little bit of water there was to go around, eventually something had to give.
I have to be honest, I found it really tough, seeing things die, and I did go through a stage where I didn't go out into the garden at all. I found it too hard.
Luckily, David didn't find the plight of plants with no water quite as debilitating as Lindy. So, when the drought eventually forced the Hardys to destock, one small silver lining was that David was able to step in and take over the care of the garden.
We just had to keep it going for our own purpose, and Lindy's put a lot of effort into it, and I just wanted to make sure that it would continue over the next decade.
While David found respite from the bare brown paddocks by gardening, Lindy weathered the drought by writing about her garden.
At that time is when I came up with the idea of doing a journal about gardening, month for month, what you do each month. And that was quite therapeutic in the aspect it kept me busy, really busy, working on it. And so I lived my garden through the journal.
Beyond the Dust chronicles her experience of keeping a garden in the West alive under the most trying conditions.
I suppose I'm proud of it, but it was done more as therapy.
Lindy says no matter how depressing she found it to see her pride and joy suffer during the drought, she still considers a garden an invaluable asset.
Personally, I think they're extremely important, especially in the time of drought. This gives the men something to come home to, just a break from that barren earth outside. Just in here, in the fairy garden.
David Hardy has come to share his wife's perspective.
I really found it was another way of taking my day forward and trying to be that positive person. Particularly in the afternoon, you'd come back here and just walk through this green oasis and think, oh, thank goodness I'm home.
This past winter, unseasonal falls has helped take the edge off the drought, which is now entering its 5th year. Although most of the interior of Queensland remains officially drought declared, the rain that did come has made a difference.
Just seeing new shoots come through and think, oh, that tree is not dead after all, and wow, aren't we lucky it's survived the drought. And we've got a really good season under our belt now, and hopefully it'll continue for everyone.
For the Hardys though, their time at Dumfries is coming to an end. They've sold. Lindy admits the decision wasn't easy, and the thought of one day soon leaving for good is even more difficult.
I'm not sure, actually. You asked me 3 years ago, I would have said no, I don't want to go. When you create a garden, you put so much of yourself into it. You really do. It's what you've created and worked hard in. But I just get in and have a go. Just create one little corner for yourself, just to give you some joy and pleasure.
And that's the last taste of Landline for this series. But our regular Landline is back this Sunday at noon, and we have a special program on China. Window on China, the opportunities and challenges facing Australian farmers chasing the Chinese consumer.
If they're coming to do business in China, double the time they think it's going to take, double their budget and halve their expectations.
Australian in Chinese mind it's more like a very pure, a very clean environment.
That's this Sunday, and don't forget you can always catch us on iView, Facebook and Twitter.